It's now time for Me and My Roku with host Peter Clay. Mindblowing Livestream.
Incidentally, this is Peter.
So we have a voicemail now from Peter.
Pete, you are not.
Not everybody sounds like Peter Clay.
This is what it's all about, isn't it?
Peter Clay is here today.
Holy crap, it's Peter.
Wow. Oh, boy.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome to another spectacular, scintillating, exciting, and invigorating edition of Me and My Roku. I'm your host, Peter Clay. Welcome aboard. I am here to inform, entertain, and all that good stuff while you entertain yourself with the most fabulous streaming device allowed in humanity, the Roku. Disclaimers, and we got a couple today, and I'll discuss some of them more in detail later in the program. One right now is that this is a me show, me and My Roku. I'm not an expert. I'm not one of those things, and I'm not going to give you the top 10 reasons why you should do this. I'm just a guy who watches and uses the Roku, and I've learned some things along the way, and I have the capability of doing a podcast, Facebook stream, and a live stream all at the same time. And so I thought, well, hey, let's put that to use, and I share it with you. That's disclaimer number one. Disclosure number two is just out of my own spirit and will and all that stuff. Nothing is coming to me from Roku or anything like that. No one's saying, ditch the Fire TV or anything like that. No, these are all fine devices. You're not going to see me disparage anything. I hate it. No, I'm just kidding. No, I don't do that. I just find things easier to use, and that is the Roku, and so then I spread it along. Okay, another disclaimer here. Some of you may be seeing this live. I know, it's weird. Why would you want to do that? I don't care. Maybe you want to see the TARDIS in the back behind me, or Winnie the Pooh or anything like that. Not a political statement. I'm just a big Winnie the Pooh fan. If you turn this way, there you can see an older Winnie the Pooh, and Piglet and Tigger is back there as well. Big fan. Always will be, and all that stuff. But doing that as well, and also started up a new Facebook page, facebook.com at Me and My Roku. Let's try that again. Facebook.com/Me and My Roku. All right. And that'll get you there, and that'll let you know different things during the week and all that stuff, because this is a weekly podcast for the most part. And I get thoughts and discussions and stuff like that. Found it easier to do it there than to try to do a whole web page and all that stuff. I may do that as well. I got the domain name and all that stuff, and just waiting on some things to clear there and all that stuff, and we'll get on that. So anyway, I got a list that I'm going to talk about, and let's get to it, and let's get started.
Whoa, she just wants to rock and roll.
Okay, well, I've gotten into some discussions and some forums and gotten some questions and stuff like that, and I was able to answer some during the week, and I really like doing that. I started doing questions last week and there's some repeat questions, so I'm kind of narrowing some questions down and then kind of answering them that way, then trying to answer each individual question and all that stuff. So I get that, and I again, preface, this is how I do it. Does that mean it's the best thing to do in the whole wide world? I'm the expert. You listen to me or else. No, it's just what I do, and it's worked for me. And starting with the first question was, this person had noticed that a friend of theirs was getting YouTube TV for their local channels. And she thought that, well, wouldn't it be easier just to get an indoor antenna and get all the local channels that way than to spend $50 for YouTube TV. Disclosure, I may be sponsored by one of the subscription channels. I may talk about that later. And so this is no disparage to YouTube TV whatsoever. But $50 just for local channels and to get sports when there's no sports being played right now, that could be a little tight for some people right now. So I can't highly recommend it, even though it's a fine service. And if you need it, want it, and their DVR function and their ways of recommending shows to you and all that stuff is fine and fabulous. If you want to do that, you decide how it pays for itself to you and all that stuff. For me, it's too much. I can't do it right now and all that stuff. And I can understand why someone would want to think twice before at least try an indoor antenna. Now, an indoor antenna may cost you anywhere from, $10 to $20 to $30. Truth of the story then that I find out later that this person isn't actually in the city that I'm in, because I mentioned what to do in the city in which I live at. And I live about 15 miles away from the towers, and the towers in Madison, Wisconsin are on the southwest side of the city. There's 2 of them, and they're about 3 miles apart from each other. And if you get a good antenna, there's like close to 30 channels that are available over the air then on your fabulous TV that you have, that all you need to do is hook up a Roku to get everything else on. But if you want your locals, the best that YouTube TV can give you is maybe 5 channels. Because they've added CW now, they've added PBS, and they're the only other ones that has CBS other than CBS All Access. So that's a good option, YouTube TV, where you'll get the main networks, all of them. But the sub-channels and all the fabulous programming and all that stuff that you can get on there, that you're only going to get from your antenna. Some of them you can get on your Roku, like Comet and Action and some of these other things that you'll see on certain networks and all that stuff. So I recommended an antenna and all that stuff. Then I find out that she lives 20 miles northeast of me. It says, you said Madison. And turns out she's actually further than that. And then I said, well, you have even more options. An indoor antenna is going to be slightly tricky in that area. You may need an outdoor antenna, but an amplified antenna, roughly about $30. When I was at Radio Shack, we had this one that ran about $50 that looked like the Starship Enterprise. That's what we called it. And so, and I'm sure the technology, that's 10, 15 years ago now. So I'm sure technology has gotten better where you can get smaller, amplified, and still pull in the stuff. The trick with where she's at is now she's in between 2 major markets. That if you go south-southwest, you get the Madison channels. And if you go south-southeast, you can get the Milwaukee channels. And you're iffy on that. You're still kind of far away, but in Milwaukee, the towers are on the west side as well of that city, same as Madison, but in the different opposite direction. So she's a little further away from the Madison one than she would be from the Milwaukee one. So try it out, and if not, there's always YouTube TV. Another question I'm getting a lot lately is about in this pandemic time, a lot of people losing their remotes. First of all, put the drink down and focus on what you're doing. That's a joke. But 2, 1, well, yeah, semi-serious. I mean, come on, it's a remote. It's the most important thing is your Roku remote. Come on. Pay attention to what you're doing. Keep that around. 2, second option is you got a phone, get the app. Android, iOS, doesn't matter. It might even be more fun to use the remote anyway. I'll use the app anyway, just to kind of fool the little missus every now and then. She thinks she's in control, and I'm at the app. Fooled you. Anywho, there's the app. And then also with the app, you can also then sometimes if you're searching for something, you can use the keyboard on the app. Also, if you have a Roku Ultra, you can also use your headphone jack or Bluetooth out to listen so you're not disturbing other people in the house if you want as well. Instead of, because you lost your remote, otherwise with the remote, you can also, there's a headphone jack in there as well too. So 1, issue personal responsibility and know where your remote is at all times. 2, if you can't do that and you're having a wild night watching Roku, use the app, the Roku app. Available iOS, Android, and a Fire tablet even too, if you want. It's good for you. I get this question a lot, and I laugh at people because they think they're so smart. Why would I need a Roku when I have a smart TV? Well, smart TVs will be the end of Roku now, won't they? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Maybe. When about 40% of smart TVs are Rokus anyway. There's Android, and there's others out there as well. I can say as an owner of an Android TV, which I like, And I like the Chromecast abilities. Sometimes I just want to take something and shoot it out there. But if I want consistency and clarity and all that stuff, Fire TV is nice too. Exceptional 4K on that. But consistency all aboard as far as picture goes. And just with the interface and updates, nothing beats the Roku on that stuff. I have updated the Android TV once. That's all I can get. I do a daily update on the Roku every day, and everything like that. And then restart it once a week. Good practices. I can't do that on the Android TV. I'm beholden to Android when they want to do that, and that can never happen. I think it's running Android 8 even too. So if you want consistency and the most up-to-date things, get a Roku. And every Olympic year, so now the Olympics are supposed to be this year, rotate a Roku out. Like the Roku LT that I've had, it's got to go out. Got the Roku 3, that now becomes on the endangered list a little bit. And then the Roku Ultra. I've done it. Might get a sound bar. Oh, don't know. So I recommend that because the software is just going to update and you're going to notice different things. So now the Smart TV app for the Food Network is going to look different than it does on the Roku. There's more available to you on the Roku app of the Food Network than it is on the Android TV. That's a fact. I know it. That's why it's me, my Roku. I know these things. So I've answered 3 different questions there. YouTube TV for local channels if you wish. Otherwise, try the one thing that's gotten better on some of these TVs is hooking an antenna to them and all the channels that you can get. I'm not saying it's Roku or death on these things. If you can get your local channels over the air, by all means, that's why, because that saves more room on your Roku. Fun stuff. So do that. So there we have it on me and my Roku. Okay, well, last week I mentioned that the theaters and local and the content creators like Universal and stuff are going at each other because, Trolls World Tour came out and they did it on streaming first. And now Universal's like thinking, we may not go back to theaters. And then AMC is thinking, well, we're not going to let you come back to the theaters. Well, add Warner Brothers to the list because now Scoob, the new Scooby-Doo movie, available now for streaming. Bypass the theaters. Could that mean it's good or bad? I don't know. We'll see. It's up to you to decide. If you want to decide, $19.99 to rent, $24.99 to own on all major platforms. Movies Anywhere, Apple, Amazon, Vudu, anywhere you get movies. It's available to you at the time of this recording. So by the time you get this, you've probably already watched it or missed it or whatever. It's okay. Another thing going on free right now, a lot of free trials coming and going, all that, as we're getting kind of long in the tooth in this lockdown type of thing. Some things are starting to end. Sling TV's ending their happy hour on the day of this recording. So by the time you get this, last chance, or you missed it already. But I'm still getting tons of emails, and all the emails of all I've gotten with Sling, saying 7 days free, still available to people. Dish is, if you've noticed their quarterly reports or anything along those lines, they're trying hard. They're doing everything they can to keep people in there, and Sling is no different. Dish owns Sling. And, sorry about that. And so, yeah, they're hanging on by whatever they can. And so Sling is offering all the deals they can, including $10 off a month, maybe $5 or something like that. So it's like $20 a month now for the blue package. And I think if it's $40 if you want both orange and blue. Sirius XM music on Roku. I've kind of eliminated it as far as the disclaimer for the Me show, a part of this. But I have used SiriusXM on the Roku, and it's fine. It's great. It's a great app. It works wonderfully. Free preview until May 31st. So you still have a couple of things. And in your car as well, if you want free Sirius XM music and all that stuff. Another big announcement coming up. You have been debating whether or not to get Disney Plus or keep Disney Plus. It's up to you. July 3rd, the original cast of Hamilton, which was, again, supposed to be in the theaters. Well, forget that. It's going to be on Disney Plus July 3rd. Just, I believe, is a Friday. Look out for that. Here on Me and My Roku. Okay. Tips and tricks. Getting a lot of, noticing a lot of questions about losing connections or this channel isn't working or this and that. Very likely, well, let me put it this way. I'm not blaming you, okay? Technology, anything can happen at any time, like when you're trying to do a live stream or anything like that. So any phones could go off, dogs could bark, who knows? People could be mowing their lawns, all that good stuff. Text messages coming in, while you're trying to do things, vibrating. Maybe if I put this on that, it won't make so much noise. Anyway, but on the other hand, you got to keep up to date with a lot of stuff as well, too. And so you want to make sure you've got everything brilliant. You can't just rest on your laurels and just think that everything's going to connect and work all the time. You got to be proactive on it. Like I said, what I do every day is I do an update for the Roku. And once a week, at least, I do a restart. That's for the Roku part of it. Do the same with anything electronic you have. Anything. Your TV, because now you joke when I say TV on that. A lot of the times your TV just goes into standby mode when you turn it off. Shut all it down. No power whatsoever to it. Your modem, your router, anything. Your phone, for the love of all. No, I can't turn my phone off. Turn it off. 10 minutes. That's all it takes typically on any of these things, or overnight or anything like that. Or if you're going out of town, shut everything down. Shut the power down. There's no sense broadcasting Wi-Fi when you're not there. And you reset your IPs and all that stuff. And so it's very important for the connection on the list. Another tip or trick, check what your router can do. For us here, because I got a big podcasting studio here, got the podcasting and then all the other stuff, I got a dual router, dual bandwidth type of thing. So I have one, like the 5 gigahertz I leave for the streaming stuff, and the 2.4 for everything else. Maybe it should be the other way around. I don't know, but I'm just telling you what I do. Maybe I'm wrong, but I at least split those things up so they're not competing with each other. Because I believe 2.4 gigahertz has a wider range, so when you live in a complex neighborhood like we got, and you're only 10, 20 feet from the next person, 2.4 gigahertz, you could be getting some competing stuff in there. So I like to keep a clear bandwidth for the Roku stuff. That's another thing to check out and all that stuff. So there's very often times while we're trying to get stuff, when we're playing our casino games and all that stuff, or whatever we're doing on our phone, and we're going, the internet's out, but then the Roku is fine. Everything's streaming perfectly. That could be the reason why. So if you got a dual band banner, look into your instructions on how to do that, or do a YouTube video or something like that, or just show you how to do it. So that's another tip or trick here on Me and My Roku. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh. Okay, kids, gather around. But, safe distance wise, you don't need to wear a mask. Just cover your cough and all that stuff. But let's gather around. Let's have a chit chat here. Okay. So the live stream and all that stuff was the idea of John. No other name, just John from Podbean. And he said, hey, came across your podcast. I'm sure that they noticed that I haven't been using their service in a very long time and all that stuff. But he just thought, hey, I came across your podcast. Maybe you might want to try our service for live streaming. And I thought, okay. So thank you. And then I realized what Podbean was. And I had signed up with them a long time ago with my original podcast, The Radio Affliction. And I noticed that Me and My Roku was indeed on the Podbean network. So when I do all my spiel about subscribing later on the program, we can add Podbean to that as well. So it's fine service, and they've been around for many years, almost maybe quite as long as I've been doing this, or anyone else for that matter. And so I thought I'd give that a try. I also decided to maybe, since we're celebrating our year-anniversary next week, well, I think a year of doing a podcast, that's almost a commitment. Almost like a marriage, almost. You almost feel like you have to do it. If you don't do it and all that stuff, the one time I didn't do it, I was in Vegas. Anyway, starting to branch out just a little bit. So the only thing I ask for your support on is all that is just like it, thumbs up it, share it if you can, and all that stuff. Maybe tell a friend or something like that. Boom, boom. The original podcast is always... the bandwidth has been provided by the Internet Archive at archive.org, and I can't thank them enough for what they just do, just existing, and their mission and what they're trying to accomplish and all that stuff. So it's been wonderful being part of that process and all that stuff. So I look back and look at all the things I've done, and it wouldn't be possible without the Internet Archive, and so we thank them and we love them. I told you last week I was trying to maybe think about reaching out for some sponsorship. So that's something that could be a win-win, win for them, win for me, and win for you. And one of those that is accepted, and we're still working out different ways of promoting and all that stuff there, Philo. And I've talked about Philo in the past, and I'm not going to say anything about Philo that I wouldn't say about what I already said about YouTube TV or anything else like that. It's a fine stuff. They're all good. What's wonderful about Philo is, 1, you get the 7-day free trial. 2, you get 60 channels. And you go, well, wait, there's no sports. Well, guess what, folks? There's no sports. And when I talked about last week or earlier in the program about YouTube TV and paying extra for the local channels and all that stuff, $20. You might not get your local channels. You might not get sports. The price is cut right in half there for you. Try it out. Philo.meandmyroku.com is the special link for you to go there and get 7 free days of Philo and check it out for yourself. And then after that, $20. I'll tell you, and I'll recommend one channel I like to watch is Axis. Not all the time, but there's this wonderful show on there, On the Road with Sammy Hagar. One of my favorite rock and roll musicians of all time. And he goes and I've seen him interview Rick Springfield. It was a fabulous interview, and they just talk musician to musician and songwriter to songwriter, guitarist to guitarist, and all that type of thing. And you get tips and tricks and stuff like that, like you would with Me and My Roku type of thing. And so it's a fabulous program. Check that out on Philo today. Philo.meandmyroku.com. Okay, also the Facebook page, I put that up there, and I will do that more frequently than this podcast can come, because I've got to share the studio with the little Mrs. No, because she's got to use this as her office for 3 days a week. But I'll go in there and I'll post different things, and maybe even do little videos like this right now, every now and then, if something major breaks up, and we can't wait until Friday to get to it. So that is facebook.com/meandmyroku. Possibly a website on that. There is meandmyroku.com, and that may go to something, or may go to the Facebook page anyway. So just check that out today. So we got this now. Philo, Internet Archive, and just say hello every now and then. Email me, meandmyrokupodcast@gmail.com. All right. Okay, kids, Google is doing something I'm not really a big fan of, but they're Google. What can you do? And a lot of the ways this show gets distributed to you is from Google, and so we love you, Google. But, however, they are kind of dismantling Google Play, okay? And it's okay in a sense. I just wish they would rename things instead of having to do this rigmarole of it. They're breaking everything down. The music part of Google Play is going to YouTube Music, and there's going to be a big transfer process for that as well. And the podcast part of Google Play is going to Google Podcasts. Now, the Google Podcast app has been out for a while. You may not notice a difference at all. If you go to the Google Podcast app it's all there for you and everything's good. If you've been doing it through Google Play, you got to go to Google Podcasts. That's all I got to say for you on that. Don't get me started on the Google Play Music issue. All to me you had to do was just change the name. But hey, they're Google. We love you. And so you may notice some, if you're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or anything else, we're all good. Everything's the same. Just real quick, a real quick little rundown. Oh, no, I got to tell you what something that came up to me. Instead of doing the spiel I was going to give between subscription services and ad-supported, let's not do this. Let's kind of break down why I do the show, why I do the way I do the show. Just find it easier for me to do the show on how I do it, and then maybe spur something into you. That just seems to work better to me. Because if you try and go to the internet to go in and find, like, how do I use my Roku type of thing, or Roku tips, or anything like that, these are the things you're going to get. I had put this on the Facebook page too, because I laughed out loud. And apparently this stuff works. It's called SEO, Search Engine Optimization. Apparently these little things that are trying to trick you into clicking on that instead of something else, just give me the information is all I really want. But instead, you got to do this. You got to get this. Roku tips and tricks. 14 things you probably didn't know you could do. 8 Roku Pro tips you need to try right now. This is my favorite one right here. Roku hacks. 20 mind-blowing Roku tricks you should know. 10 tricks to make yourself a Roku master. Roku tips, how to make the most of your streamer. And finally, 13 Roku tricks you should try right now. I wonder why they came up with 13 then. There was probably some science, some thing that said, oh, if you use 13, we'll get better clicks that way. And then, so the mind-blowing was my favorite. So this is the mind-blowing tips and tricks for your Roku. One, watching Kodi, which, okay, if you want to. I know that's not mind-blowing. Kodi is a service that may or may not be, the product itself is not a problem. It's what you use that product for that can kind of get you in trouble. It's like Plex. Nothing wrong with Plex in general, but there's ways that you can use Plex that aren't so, how about this is mind-blowing. Navigate Roku channels on your phone. That's not mind-blowing. Yeah. Watching silently at night with your headphone jack and your remote. We talked about remotes earlier. Not mind-blowing. Watch secret private channels. I've talked about that before. There's nothing mind-blowing on the private channels anymore. If somebody is doing something independently and wants to promote a show, like if I was going to do me and my Roku, I would probably set it up as a private channel as a way to promote to my audience, to tell them, hey, you want to watch me on Roku? Here's the private channel, instead of waiting for people to get lost in the shuffle in the search engine there. So that's why you would want the private channels. It's not mind-blowing that using your phone to type. Talked about that already too. These are just things that are already available to you on the Roku. If you just looked, you don't have, it's using smart search to find anything that's available. That is right on the menu. Is long when you open up your Roku on the left-hand side, it says smart search. Play your personal content from an external drive. Mind-blowing? No. Extracurricular? Extra credit for doing it? Sure. There is the Roku Media Player, and there are USB ports on the Roku as well. I use Plex. Disclosure, disclaimer. And that's the me part of the Me and My Roku show here. I use Plex, and there's a computer here that runs it, and it sends it to my Plex. That's how I do it. Set your own streaming bitrate. Probably don't have to do that unless you're wanting to watch something in 4K, and so you want to tone everything else down and set to give the Roku the priority. Again, extracurricular, extra credit. Not mind-blowing. Hide your Roku Ultra with Velcro. Not mind-blowing. You can use Velcro to put your Roku in the back of your TV so you don't see it, and yet your remote will still pick it up. Not mind-blowing. Reorder your channels how you want them. That is the most basic thing you can do with your Roku. That and choosing the background. Personalized Roku sound controls. Mind-blowing. Check the secret Wi-Fi menu to optimize your reception. Maybe. Play content from your smartphone. Again, YouTube, Kodi, photos. That's another thing with the Roku Media Player. You can cast things over as well. That too. I guess that's all. That is from the Daily Dot. In case you were wondering, you can just yourself say, wow, thanks for that mind-blowing article on Roku. Anyway. Well, I think I've wasted enough of your time and all that stuff. And I should probably get back. One, my throat's about to dry out. And all that stuff. And it's getting warm in here. It's actually warm for once in our lives here. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank Podbean. John, thank you for the idea of live streaming. Facebook. Hurrah. Internet Archive. We love you. And by we, I mean me. Thank you so much. Also, big deal. Also, should have mentioned this in the promo section as well. A lot of the ways I get free programming on this stuff, I do different things around here to get gift cards and all that stuff. swagbucks.radioaffliction.com. Go to that website there and check it out today and learn all the different ways that you can get points for gift cards and all that stuff. I've been doing it for a very long time, and that's one of those things maybe I could do a podcast about as well. It's best that you just go and try it out for yourself. There's Reddit forums and all that stuff too. But I make enough to get Hulu and CBS All Access and Disney Plus and all those things. Doesn't come out of my pocket. It comes from the gift cards that I do on that. So thank them very much for all that. You can subscribe to the Me and My Roku podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube, iHeartMedia, Podbean, and radio.com. Follow me on Twitter at Radio Affliction, Facebook.com/MeAndMyRoku, Instagram at Pierre Argyle. And for questions, comments, email, all that good stuff, just email me at meandmyrokupodcast@gmail.com. I hope you are enjoying you and your Roku as much as I'm enjoying me and my Roku. And I'll be back with you real soon.